Thonis-Heracleion, Egypt.
For centuries, the thriving Egyptian port city of Thonis, known to the Greeks as Heracleion, existed only in ancient texts and fragmented myths. This grand metropolis was the vital gateway to Egypt, the tax collection point for all foreign trade, and a powerful religious center. Yet, by the 8th century CE, the entire city vanished. Its existence was doubted until the early 2000s when underwater archaeologist Franck Goddio rediscovered the massive ruins beneath the waters of Abu Qir Bay. The central, enduring mystery: what caused this powerful city to sink beneath the waves? The dramatic demise of Thonis-Heracleion was not swift like a single volcanic eruption. Instead, the evidence points to a combination of catastrophic environmental factors. The city was built on the extremely unstable, water-saturated silt and clay of the Nile Delta. Over time, large religious structures, particularly the huge temple of Amun-Gareb, pressed down on this soft ground. Scientists now believe a series of intense earthquakes or seismic shocks triggered a devastating process called soil liquefaction. When saturated ground liquefies, the solid ground briefly turns into a heavy, viscous liquid. The immense weight of the city's heavy stone architecture, temples, colossal statues, and massive harbor structures could not be supported by this liquefied soil, causing the ground to rapidly subside and the city to sink into the seafloor. The process was likely compounded by tsunamis and rising sea levels over many centuries. The result is a city perfectly preserved, frozen in time, exactly where it fell. Thonis-Heracleion remains one of history's most profound underwater archaeological sites. It has yielded a treasure trove of gold coins, colossal statues, and perfectly intact stela that rewrite the history of Greek and Egyptian interaction. Well, we have solved how the ground failed, the exact sequence of seismic events that ultimately doomed the city, turning its bustling port into a silent, submerged necropolis, remains the subject of ongoing research.
The Plain of Jars.
Hidden deep within the mountainous landscape of northern Laos lies one of Southeast Asia's most baffling ancient sites, the Plain of Jars. Scattered across thousands of square kilometers of plateau are over 2,000 colossal stone jars, carved from granite, sandstone, and limestone. They range in size from a meter to over 3 meters tall, and some weigh many tons. Created by an unknown Iron Age people around 2,500 years ago, these massive relics have no written history and no clear connection to any known major civilization. Their purpose remains a powerful, pervasive mystery. Local legends offer a colorful explanation. They claim the giant warrior king, Kun Chiang, used the jars as cups to brew and store massive amounts of rice wine to celebrate his victory over his enemies. However, archaeologists have a more somber theory. Extensive excavation, particularly in recent decades, suggests the jars were used for funerary purposes. The largest jars may have served as communal or high-status ossuaries used for the ritual treatment or secondary burial of human remains. Even if the purpose was funerary, the logistics remain stunning. The materials for the jars often came from quarries several kilometers away. How the ancient people quarried the stone and transported these massive, unwieldy objects across rugged terrain without wheeled vehicles or heavy machinery is an impressive engineering feat that we still don't fully understand. Adding to the mystery is the ongoing danger. The site is heavily contaminated with unexploded ordnance, or UXO, from the Vietnam War era, complicating excavation and making the Plain of Jars one of the most physically dangerous archaeological sites in the world. The Plain of Jars is a colossal silent cemetery. While the funerary purpose is the leading theory, the identities of the people who created them, the exact rituals they performed, and the techniques they used to move the immense stones are still locked within the silent, mysterious landscape of Laos.
Cleopatra's Tomb, Egypt.
She was the last queen of Egypt, a figure whose life intertwined the greatest powers of the ancient world, Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. Yet, for all the dramas and historical records detailing her reign, the final act of Cleopatra VII's life remained shrouded in the deepest mystery. After she and Mark Antony committed suicide in 30 BCE, following their defeat by Octavian, they were supposedly buried together in a magnificent tomb. That tomb, the resting place of the most famous woman in antiquity, has never been found. This absence is one of history's most compelling and intensely frustrating archaeological secrets. Historical accounts, primarily from the Roman writer Plutarch, suggest that Octavian allowed the lovers to be buried side by side in a grand, newly constructed mausoleum that Cleopatra had prepared. For centuries, the search focused on Alexandria, her opulent capital, which suffered devastating earthquakes and tsunamis that may have swallowed the tomb entirely. The city's shift in terrain and its submergence beneath the rising Mediterranean have made finding any definitive evidence nearly impossible. The sheer size and grandeur of the tomb, however, make its total disappearance almost unbelievable. In recent years, attention has shifted strongly away from Alexandria and toward a temple complex called Taposiris Magna, about 30 miles west of the city. Archaeologist Dr. Kathleen Martinez has led extensive excavations there, believing the tomb lies beneath the temple grounds. She argues that Cleopatra would have chosen a secret, sacred location to imitate the burial of the goddess Isis. Excavations have revealed deep shafts, a vast network of subterranean tunnels, and even a large bronze statue of the goddess, all hinting at a possible royal burial nearby. The search for Cleopatra's tomb is more than just an archaeological hunt. It's a quest for a cultural landmark. Finding it would offer invaluable insights into the final moments of the Ptolemaic dynasty, providing a direct link to the woman who shaped the destiny of the Roman world. Until then, the greatest queen of Egypt sleeps somewhere in the dark earth, or beneath the waters of the Nile Delta, her secret fiercely guarded.
The Yonaguni Monument, Japan.
Off the southern coast of Yonaguni Island, Japan, lies a mystery that has divided the worlds of archaeology and geology for decades. Discovered in 1986 by a diver looking for hammerhead sharks, the Yonaguni Monument is a colossal submerged rock formation that plunges over 80 feet beneath the waves. It features massive, distinct features that resemble a stepped pyramid, terraces, and 90-degree angles. This structure has been controversially dubbed Japan's Atlantis and presents one central, profound question. Was it built by human hands or carved by nature? Those who argue for a man-made origin point to the monument's remarkable geometry. It features near-perfectly straight lines, right-angled corners, massive flat terraces, and what appear to be carved staircases and channels. Proponents, most notably geologist Masaki Kimura, assert that these features could not have been produced naturally. They date the structure to at least 10,000 years ago, arguing it must have been constructed before the last major sea level rise, a claim that would radically predate known human civilization in the region. The majority of geologists, however, firmly believe the monument is a curious natural phenomenon. They explain that the structure is composed of sandstone and mudstone, which naturally fracture along parallel planes, also known as bedding planes. The frequent seismic activity in the region, combined with relentless wave erosion and strong ocean currents, would have been exaggerated these natural fracture lines, creating the illusion of man-made precision. They argue that natural processes can and often do produce geometric shapes. The Yonaguni Monument remains an active, submerged battleground for scientific theories. Whether it is a magnificent testament to a lost civilization or an extraordinary product of geological forces, it forces us to re-examine the boundaries of both human capability and nature's sculpting power. For now, this silent, deep-sea structure keeps its 10,000-year-old secret.
The Paracas Candelabra, Peru.
High on the desert slopes overlooking Pisco Bay in Peru stands a majestic figure etched into the hillside, the Paracas Candelabra. This gigantic geoglyph, measuring nearly 600 feet or 183 meters tall, is one of the most visible and puzzling archaeological markers in the world. Carved so deeply into the petrified sand that it can be seen from 12 miles out to sea, this three-pronged design is a powerful cousin to the famous Nazca lines. Yet it harbors a completely separate and unsolved mystery. Who carved this massive symbol, and why was it placed as a permanent beacon above the Pacific? Archaeologists have linked the candelabra to the pre-Inca Paracas culture, 800 BCE to 100 CE. Pottery found at the base of the hill dates to that period. The candelabra was created by removing the top layer of rust-colored stone, exposing the lighter rock beneath, much like the process used for the Nazca lines. However, the age of the geoglyph itself is hard to confirm definitively, leading to wide speculation about its function. Unlike the complex geometric and animal figures found at Nazca, the candelabra's simple, powerful shape suggests a single critical purpose. Theories surrounding its meaning are varied. The most pragmatic suggest it was a navigational aid, a massive, unmistakable landmark for sailors approaching the Peruvian coast, allowing them to pinpoint the location of the safe harbor at Pisco. Another theory links it to the Inca mythology, suggesting the trident shape represents the lightning rod or staff of the creator god Viracocha. A third, more esoteric idea relates it to the potent hallucinogenic plant jimsonweed or datura, whose shape resembles the geoglyph. The Paracas candelabra remains a beautiful, stark enigma. Standing sentinel over the Peruvian coastline, it is a magnificent work of ancient land art, guarding the secret of its creation. Until more contextual clues are discovered, we are left to wonder whether it guided ships, honored a supreme god, or marked a sacred boundary for the powerful, forgotten cultures of the Peruvian coast.
The Sea People's Identity and Origin.
Imagine a time of unprecedented global catastrophe known as the Bronze Age collapse around 1200 BCE. Great empires, the Mycenaeans, the Hittites, and cities across the Levant crumbled simultaneously. A key catalyst in this widespread destruction was a mysterious coalition of maritime raiders known only by the name their victims gave them, the Sea Peoples. Recorded primarily in the monumental inscriptions of Egyptian pharaohs like Ramesses III, these invaders swept across the Mediterranean coasts, plunging an interconnected world into a centuries-long dark age. The core mystery remains: who were they, and where did they come from? The Egyptian records list various tribes within this confederacy, including the Peliset, often identified with the later Philistines, the Shurdan, the Shekelish, and the Checker. Ramesses III defeated them in two massive battles, but his victory only offers clues to their appearance: plumed helmets, round shields, and strange round-bellied ships. Crucially, the Egyptians identified them as coming from the sea, giving no clear geographic origin. Were they refugees fleeing famine and internal conflict, or organized invaders seeking new land and resources? Scholars have proposed numerous theories for their homeland. The Shurdan may have originated near Sardinia, the Shekelash near Sicily. Others hypothesize that they were Mycenaean Greeks displaced by internal fighting, or groups from collapsing kingdoms in Anatolia and the Aegean Islands, migrating en masse due to drought and systemic breakdown. A recent, highly contested theory suggests a sudden shift in trade routes or climatic change forced entire populations to abandon their homes and seek new lands by raiding. The Sea Peoples remain an ultimate historical enigma. They were powerful enough to destabilize and help dismantle a vast interconnected network of Bronze Age civilizations. Though their impact is undeniable, their true origins and motivations are still scattered across the fragmented records and ruined cities of the Mediterranean, symbolizing the unknown forces that brought an end to an era.
The acoustic properties of the hypogeum of Halsaflieni.
Beneath the Straits of Paula, Malta, lies the Halsaflieni hypogeum, a vast, labyrinthine complex of chambers, halls, and passages carved out of solid limestone. Dating back over 5,000 years to the Neolithic period, this UNESCO World Heritage Site is believed to be the oldest prehistoric underground temple in the world. But it's not just the age or the impressive carvings that defines it. It's a profound and mysterious acoustic phenomenon located within a small room known as the Oracle Chamber. The Oracle Chamber is a smooth, circular room carved with incredible precision. Here lies the enigma. When a male voice speaks at a specific, deep frequency, around 110 Hz, the sound waves are dramatically amplified, reverberating powerfully throughout the entire hypogeum complex. Visitors and researchers have described the experience as feeling the sound vibrating in their bones rather than just hearing it in their ears. Acoustic analysis has confirmed the chamber's highly specialized and deliberate sound-enhancing properties. This engineered acoustic effect suggests a highly sophisticated understanding of sound design by the Neolithic peoples. But why? The leading theory proposes the chamber was used for ritual and prophecy. A priest or oracle speaking in the chamber could have projected their voice to every other part of the massive underground complex, creating an overwhelming, ethereal, and powerful experience for the listeners scattered in the halls below. The sound would have seemed to come from everywhere at once, reinforcing the authority and divine connection of the speaker. The hypogeum's oracle chamber is a silent testament to a lost science. It is a mystery that asks if the Neolithic people possessed acoustic knowledge we are only now rediscovering. Was the temple designed to enhance spiritual communication, induce trance states, or simply to awe and control? Whatever the answer, the complex sound design of Halsaflieni proves that the ancients built their sacred spaces not just for the eyes, but for the ears.
The Dogger figurines, Japan.
Scattered across Japan, often buried in the earth, are thousands of small, unsettling clay figurines known as dogu. These highly stylized, often humanoid figures are the artistic legacy of the Jomon period, Japan's Neolithic era, which spanned an incredible 10,000 years. Created between roughly 10,000 and 300 BCE, dogu are characterized by their exaggerated features, strange, bulging eyes, and intricate, chord-marked patterns that match contemporary Jomon pottery. But for all their compelling detail, the core mystery remains. What was their purpose? The most popular theories suggest they were ritual objects. Many dogu seem to emphasize female characteristics, featuring wide hips, enlarged breasts, and swollen bellies, leading many archaeologists to conclude they were potent fertility symbols, perhaps used in rituals to ensure safe childbirth or abundant crops. Another compelling theory suggests they were part of healing rituals. A surprising number of figurines are found deliberately broken, often with a single limb or a part of the body snapped off. This has led to the idea that the figurine was used as a transfer object, representing a sick or afflicted person. The broken piece was intended to absorb the illness, allowing the real person to be cured.
A more sensational theory focuses on the unusual, massive eyes seen on some of the late Jomon figures, the so-called goggle-eyed dogu. These ocular coverings have been compared by some alternative researchers to the ocular protection on a pair of snow goggles, or even an ancient astronaut's helmet. While mainstream archaeology rejects this idea, it highlights the truly alien and imaginative quality of the Jomon artistry, which intentionally distorted human forms for spiritual impact. The dogu figurines are some of the most emotionally charged artifacts from prehistoric Japan. They reveal a culture that was highly spiritual and deeply connected to life, death, and the body. While we can theorize about their role in fertility or healing, the true intimate function of these strange stylized figures is a secret held only by the Jomon people themselves.
The Sphinx water erosion hypothesis.
The Great Sphinx of Giza is perhaps the most iconic statue on Earth, conventionally dated to the reign of the pharaoh Khafre around 2500 BCE. It is considered a magnificent product of Egypt's 4th dynasty. However, this established timeline is fiercely challenged by a geological mystery: the erosion patterns found on the Sphinx's enclosure walls. According to some researchers, these marks suggest the Sphinx is far, far older than the pyramids it guards, potentially rewriting the entire history of ancient Egypt. While the head of the Sphinx shows wind and sand erosion, the bedrock of the enclosure walls exhibits distinctive, deep, vertical channels and undulating, rounded profiles. Geologists like Dr. Robert Shaw and others argue that these marks are the signature of prolonged, heavy rainfall and running water, not wind erosion. The last time the Giza Plateau experienced the kind of wet, torrential climate required to cause this type of weathering was during the African humid period, which ended dramatically around 7,000 to 9,000 years ago. If the water erosion hypothesis is correct, it means the Sphinx, or at least the initial carving of its body and enclosure walls, must date back to the pre-dynastic Neolithic era, thousands of years before the pharaohs and pyramid builders were thought to exist. This would shatter the established chronology of Egyptian civilization. Mainstream Egyptologists vigorously reject this hypothesis, arguing that local rainfall patterns combined with poor quality limestone, natural defects, and long-term ground seepage adequately explain the erosion features without resorting to extreme dating. The Sphinx water erosion hypothesis remains one of the most exciting and controversial debates in archaeology. It pits geological evidence against historical records. Whether the Sphinx is 4,500 years old or over 7,000 years old, its enigmatic smile and weathered stone force us to keep questioning the earliest chapters of human civilization.
The Voynich Manuscript.
Discovered in 1912 by rare book dealer Wilfrid Voynich, this extraordinary manuscript has defied every attempt at translation and identification for over a century. Dating back to the early 15th century, the Voynich Manuscript is a 240-page parchment volume filled with dense, looping script and illustrations that seem to belong to no known world. It is, quite simply, the most famous unsolved code in history. The central mystery is multi-layered. What does it say? What is its purpose? And is it a genuine document or the most elaborate forgery ever conceived? The manuscript is divided into 5 sections, each visually bizarre. The herbal section depicts hundreds of plants that do not correspond to any known species. The astronomical section features diagrams related to stars and constellations, and the balneological section shows naked women bathing in strange plumbing systems. The text itself is written in a smooth, rapid hand using an unknown alphabet of about 20 to 30 characters. Cryptographers have confirmed that the text exhibits statistical patterns similar to real language, suggesting it is not random gibberish. But its language, if it is the language, is extinct. The challenge is so great that many believe the manuscript is an elaborate hoax,
a complicated, meaningless sequence of symbols designed to scam wealthy collectors. However, radiocarbon dating has confirmed the manuscript is genuinely from the 15th century, ruling out any modern forgery. If it is a fake, it's a medieval one. Other theories propose it's a simple cipher, like a substitution code, a complex cipher where words are disguised, or even a steganographic code where the message is hidden by letters or characters added to hide the real message. The Voynich Manuscript remains an unbreakable linguistic fortress. It challenges modern computational linguistics and cryptography, hinting at a lost knowledge, a forgotten medical text, or a secret society's ritual handbook. Until someone cracks the code, this beautiful, baffling book will remain a silent testament to the genius or deception of its medieval creator.